Alright, performance skills. Engineer Certification Reference Guide, Railroad Administration, revised August 2000. Performance skills. Or the performance skills tests must have been conducted more than 366 days before the date of the railroad certification decision. However, the performance skills test is often confused with the annual check ride. The main difference between the two is that the performance skills test is the prerequisite for the certification or recertification that normally conducted every 3 years. Prior performance skill prior to recertifying, demonstrating the skill of the shape of the operator locomotive, include the proper application of the railroad rules, practice for the shape of the operation over the train with the most demanding class of the type of the service that will be permitted to perform. Procedure for making a determination of the performance skills used the railroad prior to the initially certifying, recertifying any proof of the engineer classing with the train with the locomotive over the trail to determine the person demonstrated the according to the requirement of 240-127 the shape of the operated locomotive and the locomotive trains, include proper application of the railroad rule with the practice shape of the operation locomotive of the trains, and if the most of the demand cause class of the type of the service of the person will be permitted to perform. Note if the student performs a skill education provided away from the certifying railroad facility, he or she provided with the appropriate familiarization, physical characteristic, education concerning operation of its own lines prior to certification of that student as an engineer. Performance skill. The written documentation showing the achievement of the passing grade or not, but fails not to operate locomotive prior to passing the grade during a re-exam. Can operate when accompanied by a certified locomotive engineer. Designated supervisor, the locomotive engineer may not test evaluate himself. In order to make a determination, railroad shall have the written documentation showing the person either exhibited his or her knowledge achieving the passing grade in the testing with the compliance with the Part 240. If it did not achieve the passing grade in such testing, the person failed to achieve the passing score within the test evaluation perceived the prescribed in 240 of the railroad shall permit or require the person to operate a locomotive of the train service the engineer prior to the person achieving the passing score during the re-examination his or her performance skills. The rule now permits a person who failed with the examination to continue operating only when accompanied with a qualified locomotive engineer. No railroad shall permit the designated supervisor locomotive engineer to test, examine, and evaluate his own performance skills when complying with the 240-211. Alright, 240 211. Performance skill test. Railroad shall have the testing proceed with examining the performance skill of the application for the railroad rules and practice to make the determination of the class and services conducted with a designated supervisor, locomotive engineer, not required to qualify or physical characteristics of the territory. Criteria examined with the skill of the performance railroad program shall include the criteria procedure for the implementing performance skill of the railroad shall have the procedure for the examining the performance skill of the person evaluated the qualification locomotive the engineer the training locomotive service to determine whether the person has a skills to safely operate a locomotive of the train, including with the proper application of railroad rules, practice with the shape of the operation, train with a demanding class for the type of the service of the person will be permitted to perform the test, examine procedure for the selection of the railroad shall be designated to examine personal skill of the safety operating a locomotive of the trains, including proper application of railroad rules, practice for the shape of the operation locomotive of the trains with the performing a demanding class for the type of the service of the person will be permitted to perform, conducted by the designated supervisor, locomotive engineer, who did not need to be qualified on the physical characteristics of the territory over which will be conducted. Continued 24127. Performance skill test, coverage of the operating, practice of the equipment inspection, practice of the train handling, practice of the compliance with the federal safety rules, the sufficient length of the effectively evaluate the person's ability to operate. Train with the testing procedure for the shall also with the coverage of the following subject of the testing period: operating, practice of the equipment inspection, practice of the train handling, practice of the compliance with the federal safety rules. Note the engineer must give the specific performance to ensure that the engineer is necessarily trained handling skill to operate over the new territory, especially true when the engineer is transferring the territory with the demands of the greater train handling skills, transferring relatively flat territory to the mountainous territory, transferring territory allowed for the operation extremely long trains that engineers have not been experienced before. Under these circumstances, the engineer would not need to require additional training. Be sufficient length to eventually evaluate the person's ability to operate the train and continue with the Brotherhood of Local Engineering train position with the exercise of the greater degree of control over the duration performance skill that is tested by the designated supervisor locomotive engineer. The effort did not specify minimum duration portion of the position, feeling the rule is adequate. Alright, performance skills. In type of the conduct when a person is either the control of the type of the train normally operated or the controls of the type 1 and 2 with stimulated of the testing shall be conducted with the person either the control of the type of the train normally operating on the railroad. Second, the railroad with the person made permitted with the required of the railroad to operate with the normal course of the events of the after the certification control of the type 1, type 2 stimulated program to replicate with the responsible behavior the type of the train normally operated on railroad. Segment of the railroad with the person meet with the permitted required with the railroad to operate with the normal course of the events of the certification. Note Railroad exclusive with the similar initial training is not in compliance with the not intent of the regulation to allow certification of the engineers who never operated an actual train. Type 1 cylinder gauges respond with the use of the control, picture, sound, graphic routes, graphic sounds, physical effect with the train speed, braking, train force level throughout with the train, computer enhanced, specifically train with consistent physical characteristics. Definition: Type 1 cylinder means replica with the control of the compartment, a locomotive with the associated control equipment with the function, respond with the personal manipulation, call with the gauge with the associated with the track, control with the appropriate response to the consequence of the manipulation, particularly with the audibility graphically illustrated with the road to be taken, graphically, audibly, physical illustrated with the consequence of the control manipulation in the terms of the effect of the train speed, braking capacity, in traffic, train force levels throughout the force. Throughout the train, the computer enhanced for the program, specifically trained with the known physical characters of the online, illustrated. Type 1 and Type 2 cylinders, except for the use is acceptable for use during performance skill tests. Type 2 similar gauge responds due to the control, picture, sound, graphics, arouse, graphics, sounds, no physical effect of the train speed, braking the in-train force level throughout the train. Computer hands, specifically train, consists of physical characteristics. Definition: Type 2 similar means of the replica control of the compartment, a locomotive associated with control equipment that function with the response of the person's manipulation, called with the gauges associated with such controls are appropriate to respond with the consequence of the manipulation, particularly audible, graphically illustrated with the route to be taken, graphically, audibly, not physically illustrated with the consequence of the control manipulation in terms of the effect of the train speed, braking with the capacity of the end train of the forces level throughout the train, computer in hand for the propagated with the specifically train considered for the noun physical characteristics of the line and illustrated. Your Type 3 simulators gauges respond to use of control of the graphic, no picture or sound of the route, graphic, no sound or physical effect of the train speed, braking, intro, and forces throughout the train with the computer in hand for the specifically train with specific physical characteristics. Definition: Type 3 cylinder means of the replica of the control compartment, a locomotive associated with the control equipment that function with the response of the person's manipulation, called with the gauge associated with the controls over the accurately respond to the consequence of manipulation, characteristically not particularly audibly illustrated the routes to be taken, graphically not audibly physical, illustrates the consequence of the control manipulation, term the effect of the train speed, and with the braking with the capacity of the train force level throughout with the train and computer hands, so that it can be programmed specifically trained with the known physical characteristics of the line illustrated. No, a Type 3 cylinder is not acceptable for use during performance skill testing. Performance skill test. Conduct a test should be documented with a written containment of the relevant fact of the train operated constraint applicable to its operation factor preserved the relied on with the evaluation purpose of the designated supervisor or locomotive engineer. Conduct with the test should be documented in writing with the designated supervisor or locomotive engineer. Documentation can contain the relevant acts concerned with the train being operated, the constraints applicable to do its operation, the factor observed with the relied evaluation purpose of the designated supervisor or locomotive engineer. Or initial and continuing education.